Hello floodies and globe defenders. Here I am at Cape Byron, and this is the backyard of a vocal local yokel, and I think maybe he smoked too much weed because he thinks the earth is flat. Oh, g'day Ross, how are you? Yeah, so there's apparently no curvature to be found at Byron Bay, but of course floodies don't know how to look for it, do they? It's just a little bit more than just saying, oh, looks flat to me.
Before I begin, I'm just going to issue this warning. Caution advised for floodies. The following video contains explicit pictures and video of bendy water and water sticking to the outside of a ball. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. The graphic content in this video may trigger harmful emotions caused by the viewing of content which is in direct contradiction of your belief systems. And if you feel the urge to name, call, insult, accuse me of faking something or lying, find the nearest lake and jump into it to cool down. If you are still feeling triggered after that, please retreat to the echo chamber of one of the channels which ban people with counter-arguments, e.g., Flat Earth Perth. You could even put Phuket word in there. Counter-arguments are welcome when addressing the topic with evidence. You are invited to duplicate the same observations if you have doubts about what you see. This data was collected and collated with considerable effort and some personal cost to myself, including personal injury and chemtrail burns. I will take a dim view of personal attacks and unfounded accusations. Let's scout the location. Now this is Cape Byron, which is Australia's most eastern point, and not only is it a very, very popular tourist spot, it's home to those seeking an alternate lifestyle, as well as home for the rich and famous. Now, the Cape Byron Lighthouse is there. I've marked some points. Julian Rocks, I've marked an observation point of mine there, and some more observation points further up north. So I've got observation points all along the coast up there. Now, Julian Rocks is Ross Thatcher's go-to place for flat earth proof. He says it sits above the horizon all the time, according to him, and the horizon shows not so much as a millimetre of sphericity. I've switched to Google Maps because the Google Earth doesn't give us the numbers that I'm looking, it doesn't show them on the screen. So the distance to the beach here is about 2.24 miles from Julian Rocks. So if you are standing on the beach at Byron Bay, you will see Julian Rocks above the horizon. Now, by the time you get up here at Brunswick Heads, you're 10 kilometres, 6 miles away, you'll start to see the rocks disappear below the horizon. And further up, Hastings Point, up there, it's 17 miles and 28 kilometres away, and most likely you're not going to see them depending on how high they are. And on a clear day, you can see all the way to Byron, Cape Byron, because the lighthouse is very, very high, over 90 metres, and if good visibility, you can see from up here at Kingscliff, you can see the lighthouse, but you will be looking over the curvature of the earth there, and you will see less of the land under the lighthouse. Now, if you're looking for curvature, this is how you do it. You scout your locations, line up your views, and you can notice things go over the horizon. And of course you need a long range lens, because just sitting on the beach 2 kilometers away is not going to give you any observable curve in front of you. So let's get on with some of the photos and videos. Here's the lighthouse on top of Cape Byron. It's about 118 meters above sea level there, which is pretty high. And from there we can look out across the bay towards the north, and there's Julian Rocks in the middle of the picture, and beyond that is Hastings Point, and right in the distance is King's Cliff. And so there's a closer picture of Julian Rocks, which is about 15 to 18 meters above sea level, the top of that. Now Hastings Point is at the top of the picture on the right, and we'll see that a little bit more later. And so there's a zoom in of Hastings Point. You can see now that not only the rocks at the end of the point, you'll see more of this later. There is a car park up top there, and there's a beach down to the left there. And now there's a little video here for a pan around. And I know it's a little bit quick, but it's a long way. It takes a long time to pan around. And you can notice that there's beach. One continuous beach all the way around. You need to notice that. And it's a very long beach, and parts are getting the focus adjusted. Parts of it are more populated than others, and I realized I was fiddling with the focus a bit here, and I'll go back a bit. And this is Brunswick Heads, this rock wall here, and more beach. Is just beach. Now there are some floodies who get high in the hills around here and look out and say, yep, it looks flat to me. So you can see from a high vantage point, you're not going to see curvature being that obvious. Now we get around here, we're getting very close to getting to the township of Byron Bay. I didn't get all the way there, but fiddling with the focus, but you can see it's getting closer, and that'll do for that, I think. Now I'm going to turn off that video. And so here is Brunswick Heads. I did get some pictures from there. And this is again Hastings Point. I did get some pictures from there. And this is a video just to show you where Hastings Point is there. Zoom out. And there's Julian Rocks. So Julian Rocks is almost in a straight line between the lighthouse and Hastings Point. So this is a very long shot up to King's Cliff. There, I've picked it out because of the recognisable sand dune. And so we look at the map again. So there's Cape Byron, Julian Rocks in the water, and Brunswick Heads. Brunswick Heads here with the rock walls. And further up, Hastings Point. So the car park, rocks, and there's a nice, Norris Head is a nice high headland, and King's Cliff There's that sand dune. So this distance from King's Cliff to Cape Byron there, so that's 26 miles, 42 kilometres. So we were able to see that far. So this is important because I know some floodies do some jiggery pokery with limit of sight, but in this case limit of sight is not a factor. So we'll move to the next station. The next station is down on the beach in Byron Bay, and the place that I went to the beach was here, this point here, and I filmed from 2 locations on the beach, one near the water and one up on the sand dune as high as I could get and still get some visibility out to the ocean, which was in this location around about here. So first off on the sand near the water, and then here's the picture out to Julian Rocks. It's only about 2 miles away. You can see Julian Rocks are sitting on the horizon almost. It's not all the way to the horizon, and that's as expected because they're not very far away. And there's a closer shot, and you can see a couple of boats there in the water near Julian Rocks, and so the height of 15 to 18 meters looks about right, judging on the size of those boats. Now I've got a little video for this. Right, so there's another video to go with this. Now at the start of the video here, we can see, or we cannot see Hastings Point. Hastings Point is to the right here. So Hastings Point is hidden behind the horizon, the curve of the earth, the curve of the ocean, the bendy water is hiding Hastings Point. And we'll play this. So it's right out in the distance. Turn down the volume a little bit. Get some focus. So all along there before we could see from high up. Cannot see now down to the beach. There, the beach is hiding behind the curve in the ocean. That much is very obvious. There's you cannot use this excuse of angular resolution because angular resolution would just make things closer together, not actually swallowed up in the water. And you cannot use the excuse of the inferior mirage because there is none. There's the beach starting to appear there now. And I got a bit of focus. You cannot use the excuse of the waves hiding the beach, because there's some areas the waves don't hide the beach. You can see the top of the beach. Right, so that's enough of that one. So here's what it looked like from the top of Cape Byron. So you can see that area Now I'm going to be looking at this area. I saw this area in that video, so we're going to look at that again, and I'm pretty sure I've identified that area based on where it is, and these buildings here and those buildings and these pine trees there. So this is a shot out of that video. These buildings are the same buildings that you can see in that. Higher, when you're higher off the ground, you can see the beach easy, but when you're down near the water, that's far enough away for it to be bendy water for you to be able to see the curve. So it's not so hard if you know what you're looking for. So people, I'll use this now, flatties get their knickers in a knot over this, and they say that this is a hump. And they say, oh, how can the water hump in the middle? The water rises up there and goes down. The water would flow away from the hump. Well, for starters, actually there's no hump there. The water is always curving away from you. So everything all that water you can see in this picture is actually below your feet. Now, flatties talk about perspective, horizon rising to eye level, and let's just look at the next picture that I had. So a flattie would look at this picture and say it's flat. See how the horizon rises to eye level. But they wouldn't think of that as a hump. They would think that that is just flat water and rising to eye level. So a flattie would never say that this water in the middle of the picture was higher than this water at the bottom of the picture. So why on earth would they think that this water in the middle of the picture is higher than this water at the bottom of the picture? That's really difficult to understand. I think part of the reason is that because there's something to be viewed behind this horizon here, and it gives the illusion of a hump. And this is one of those cases where you cannot trust your senses. So there's no hump, but there's actually no difference between the geometry of those two pictures. This one's from a higher observation point, so you can't actually see anything beyond the horizon. It's only sky, and that horizon is much further away. So here is a picture from above the beach, from up the place further up the beach on the sand dune behind. And now we can see over the water, we can see over the curve, you can see the beach because we're up higher. This is Brunswick Heads. You can see the rock wall to the right. There's a surf life-saving station there, which will become significant as we see later. And it's hard to tell exactly, but I don't think you can see because of where the surf life-saving tent is, I don't think you can see all the beach there. So here's looking out from that place towards Hastings Point. Hastings Point should be there, but it's hidden by the curvature. It's further away. So even though we can see the beach there, Hastings Point is still not visible because it's much further away. And here's the picture I took from the top of Cape Byron, where Hastings Point is to the right. You can see these two distinctive mountains joined together. They have a lovely shape to them. And when you look here, Hastings Point is no longer there. And there may be a hint of inferior mirage. It's very difficult to tell if there is or there isn't. So Hastings Point has disappeared below the curve here. And, well, what are we going to do about that? It's obvious curvature. Now we take, I took a video from further up on the sand dune, and there's Brunswick Heads, and there's the houses we saw before. You could not see the beach before when I showed that other photo with the pine trees and those distinctive buildings. And there's a little bit of a tree in front of the camera. So that shows you I'm not actually on the beach. It's obvious I'm not on the beach anyway. And now here the beach disappears because that beach is further away and not visible over the curve of the earth. Adjust the focus. I'm playing with the focus a bit just to make sure I got it right, but it wasn't always successful. And there's no Hastings Point. Okay, we know it's there because we've seen it, but it's over the curve. Now, before I go on to the more location data, I'll just quickly look at some of the local inhabitants, local colour and happy clappers. Yes, okay. So this is our observation point. Like I said, 2 points, one on the beach and one up on the dunes, just in that walking track. So those pine trees I've identified as being at South Golden Beach, and there's some buildings that I have verified. So the distance is approximately 10.8 miles, 17 kilometers. So you would expect from around about 6 foot above sea level there to be, on the globe model, to be some part hidden that distance. So the questions are, will Hastings Point rise from the ocean? Will Julian Rocks sink into the sea? Well, we're going to have to answer those questions another day. Thank you very much for watching, and if you're not subscribed already and you want to see the next episode as soon as it comes out, please subscribe and subscribe to notifications. Thank you very much.